When the tablets were in the original library, we are certain that they were kept in this sort of system, on end, like that. And in order to give an idea to the visitor that this is how they were stacked, it's a bit like records used to be in a record store, something like this. So when you see them on end, you can't read the inscriptions, of course, but the thing about it is you understand that they were obviously filed rationally and sensibly, so you knew what was where, so you could go along the shelves and find the one you wanted, because the library was run by librarians. And there are many features about the tablets which show a librarian at work. For example, this is a dictionary. This rather...
So that's a dictionary?
Yes, it's a well-lit tablet. You can see it very clearly, and there are columns of writing, and it's a list of technical words and what they mean. For example, there's a whole load of different words to do with the kinds of tables, all in Assyrian language, and it's explained that they're all tables, and furniture, that's to say. And there are many dictionaries like this because, like us, they had to have a reference work where they could check where words could be looked up. And from the beginning of writing, they compiled lists of these, of words, and also of the signs they used to write the words. So, I don't know if you can see here at the bottom, the one with the holes on it, that this is a, sorry, this is a typical tablet of Ashurbanipal, because at the end, this is the back view, and at the end, the writing is very spaced out. It's not close together. There's a gap between each line. And this is the bit that tells us that this tablet, the one with all the holes in, belonged to Ashurbanipal himself. It was part of his library, and that no one could remove it from where it belonged. Otherwise, there'd be serious consequences. And this thing we call the colophon was written at the bottom of many of the tablets in the library, showing there was control. And they had to go back where they belonged in the right. I mean, this is obviously a reconstruction, a modern reconstruction. They had to go back where they belonged in the library. But if there were 50,000 tablets, you can imagine there's a lot of tablets to choose between. And one of the astonishing things about the whole matter is that the library suffered when the Medes and the Babylonians invaded Nineveh. And when the tablets were found, they were all on the floor and lots of them were broken. And as I said before, one of our jobs is to find the pieces that belong together and reconstruct the tablets. So when they are little tablets like these, they are letters, they often survive more or less perfectly, the two grey ones together. When they're small, they often are undamaged. A big one like this, which is not damaged, is very unusual. But often, Assyriologists have to deal with lots of fragments of this size from the library, and you can see that this one has already been joined from two pieces, and this one also. One day, all these pieces, even the small ones, someone will find out which of the tablets they belong to. So here is a piece of medicine. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3 big or 4 pieces glued together already, and maybe the bottom corner and the upper left-hand corner are also here. But there are so many tablets that it can't be discovered in a rush. But with this digitization I was talking about, there'll be many more cases where someone, I see, this is the bit that goes on the top. And if you're reading one of these things and you make a join, it's very exciting because when it's broken, you've no idea what it said. And when you actually add a bit on, it's very, very exciting. And
there's the one in the middle there.
Yes.
I can see the writing, it's very clear and big.
It's quite large, yes.
What does it say?
Well, it says here, it's a prayer to this. It's a prayer to the sun god to ask about what's going to happen. And there's a bit that says about the enemy. They do this offering in front of the sun god, and then the priest reads this out. Will he fight and do battle against the men and army of Ashurbanipal, king of Assyria? In other words, the plan is to go and do some military activity, and they want to know from the sun god in the course of this ritual, whether there will be any opposition, it will be difficult for them to deal with, or they will win, so to speak. And there are many of these questions, so there must have been a specific temple where questions were asked, and there'll be different ways in which they got the answer. We don't know in most cases what actually happened. Now this is a very dramatic tablet because you can see it's got all the lower right-hand corner is gone, and there's a lot of damage, and it's been also joined from pieces. But this is a tablet that was, so to speak, really in the wars, because when Nineveh was overrun, there must have been fire. The beams of the library collapsed. They must have set fire to things. And this tablet was in a very hot part of such a fire, because you can see how it's buckled, and the edge of it has almost turned into glass, because you know that glass is made out of sand and clay, and if you heat it to a high temperature, and that's what's happened there. So it's a very, very serious fire. There are not many tablets like this, so I imagine that there was a beam that fell and it got the fiercest. But the paradox is that these tablets, which are made of clay, when they are burnt or baked and they become terracotta, they last forever. So if you have a library of clay, a fire, in some respects, is a good thing, whereas for any other kind of library, it's the worst thing that can ever happen. Yes, so it's a kind of ironic thing. So most of the tablets from the Nineveh library come to us to some extent or other burned or baked, and they survive very well in the ground.